Karakura town inside the two-chome park. Sato Yasutora sat on a bench, staring at his left arm in a daze. Is this another force? Confused, Sato Yasutora is puzzled. Since awakening Titan's right arm a few months ago, he always felt that there was still something missing, but this feeling was very hazy, and he couldn't tell whether it was true or not. But the night before leaving Soul Society, after the banquet at Shiba's house, he murmured to himself that he was not strong enough and wanted to become stronger to help Ichigo and Natsuki. But don't want to, since this day has passed. Sato Yasutora felt that something was conceived in his left arm, but the feeling was very vague, so he didn't tell others. Until today, it's time for this power to come. It made him leave home involuntarily, and came to the two-chome park to wait quietly. Click. Sato Yasutora seemed to feel something. Subconsciously raised his head and looked towards the sky. This look made his pupils shrink instantly. See. There is a gap in the sky, then a small figure slowly stepped out of it. But what is strange is that he obviously has a human body, but there is an empty mask hanging on his face. Humanity? No, that's Shu's mask. Is this guy virtual or human? For being too surprised, Sato Yasutora forgot to restrain his gaze, and just stared straight at this figure. Okay. What does the figure perceive? Looking down, he saw Sato Yasutora exactly at the same time, and then a sinister grin appeared on the corner of his mouth. Humanity. You can actually see me, it seems to be a psychic. My luck is so great, I just came across such delicious food, I'm not welcome. Sound falls, his figure disappeared from the spot in an instant. This scene sent chills down Sato Yasutora's spine, and subconsciously rolled to the side to hide. Boom. A violent roar sounded. I saw that a huge pothole appeared at the position where Sato Yasutora was standing just now. And at this moment, this strange figure, standing in that pothole at this time, looked at Sato Yasutora differently, tilted his head and said to himself. Escaped? It seems that you are not only a high psychic, you also seem to have some strength. This is really. It really makes people more excited. The figure put his hands on the mask on his face and laughed nervously. But, this instead made Sato Yasutora look more serious. He judged that the figure in front of him was absolutely false, that chaotic breath couldn't be faked. Thinking like this, Sato Yasutora raised his right arm slowly, and at the same time asked in a deep voice. You bastard. Are you false? That chaotic Ryotsu, only Hollow can feel this way. Heard. The figure looked slightly serious. But even so, he still regards Sato Yasutora as food that can be eaten at any time, and laughed wildly with his arms crossed. False. Don't call me that low-level name. I am Manos Grande Irankar, Lord Barbaruth's speech. These words made Sato pause. The look at Barbara Ruth Spiker also became serious, and she said in a deep voice. Manos Grande Irankar. I didn't expect. You are Irankar. Seeing Sato Yasutora's serious expression, Barbara Ruth's speech nodded in favor. But don't want to. Sato was stunned suddenly. Looking at Barbara Ruth Spiker, she asked in embarrassment. That. Excuse me, I want to ask a question. What do you mean by this Irankar? Barbara Ruth Spekje is dead. You don't know what Irankar is. Then what happened to that expression just now? Could it be that you're playing with Lord Barbara Ruth Spiker? Anger. Incomparable anger filled the head. Lord Barbara Ruth Spiker kindly introduces herself to a food, but you dare to play tricks on Lord Barbara Ruth Spiker. Next moment. Boom boom boom. The furious Ryotsu burst out at this moment. Just feeling this Ryotsu from a distance, Sato Yasutora's forehead was filled with a fine layer of cold sweat. Danger. This hypocrisy is very dangerous. No, he must be led away from here, otherwise others will. Unlike the bulky body, there is a gentle soul hidden in the heart of Sato Yasutora. Feeling the Ryotsu that terrifies him, the first thing that comes to his mind is someone else. With worry, Sato Yasutora chose to strike first. Right arm raised, the fist as big as the casserole is clenched at this moment. Then, a wave of Ryotsu surged, and his arm turned into a Titan's right arm, with red stripes on a black background. Titans. Bow half body slightly, twist the waist. Spiritual power and strength gathered towards the right arm, and then, a punch was blasted out. Titans. One hit. Fist moment. A huge shockwave of blue spiritual power. Sato Yasutora's fist blasted out, accompanied by a roar, and hit the Irankar named Barbara Ruth Spiker. Boom. Perhaps it was unexpected, or maybe you think food can't hurt you. When this blow, Titan strike, struck, Barbara Ruth's speech didn't dodge at all. Was directly bombarded by it in the chest. ZZ, It was like the sound of fat burning when grilling meat, and his chest became pitch black. I'm injured? It was actually injured by a mere piece of food? Barbara Ruth Spiker looked down at the scar on her chest, her pupils widened suddenly, and her voice was full of disbelief. At a loss, unbelievable, and anger at Sato Yasutora. Filling the brain of Barbara Ruth Specky at this moment, the tyrannical Ryotsu unconsciously radiates to the surroundings. Boom. This Ryotsu is like ice. It made Sato Yasutora feel cold and biting, crushing himself mercilessly. Blood poured out of his mouth uncontrollably. But he didn't care about such small things at this time. Seeing the enemy provoked by oneself, Sato Yasutora pushed her body forcefully, turned around and ran away. He wants to lure this Irankar away, at least. At least you can't fight in the city, otherwise. Think of that horrible possibility. Sato Yasutora's fists clenched violently, nails dug deep into the flesh. No, it must not be allowed to happen. By the way, the back mountain forest, I remember that almost no one went there. After thinking of the goal, his gaze turned to the distance, and he ran for a while without daring to stop. And at this moment, watch Sato Yasutora running away. Barbara Ruth Spiker did not perceive his thoughts. Instead thought, the opponent was frightened by his powerful Ryotsu, so he ran away in a panic. Thinking of this, the anger in his heart decreased a little instead. He even had the idea of playing games like a cat catching a mouse, and said with a sinister smile. Run away. The adults gave me an hour, enough for me to play. Sound falls, Barbara Ruth's speech went after Sato. Only the ruins of the park and the citizens who heard the noise and watched for information remained. What happened? Gas explosion. But this is a park, where did the gas come from? Hoo. Sato Yasutora gasped continuously. At this moment, his back was already covered in blood. But even so, still burying his head and rushing towards the back mountain forest. This is the amount of damage Barb Ruth Specky does to him from time to time while chasing him. And at this moment, looking at the mountain behind the forest in the distance, he silently said in his heart. It's almost Sato Yasutora has discovered. This Irankar doesn't seem to want to kill himself directly, but is playing around with it. This is irritating though, but at this moment, Barbara Ruth Spiker's approach has instead fallen into his plans. At least, this will keep him away from the crowd. However, things often turn out the way people don't expect. Barbara Ruth Spiker, who was chasing in the air, showed a look of boredom in her eyes, and even yawned. It's boring. The following food only knows how to run. Even if he attacks him himself, he won't react, it's so boring. Thinking of this, Barbara Ruth Spiker gave up the idea of continuing to play, accelerated and appeared in front of Sato in an instant. To that dull face, the corner of his mouth under the mask suddenly grinned, and he said with a sneer. Excuse me. After playing for so long, I don't want to continue playing underscore. So. Can you stand still and let me eat you? The voice fell. Don't give Sato Yasutora a chance to react at all. He stretched out a punch and punched Sato in the stomach. Boom. This punch has no power left, hitting Sato Yasutora in the stomach, delivering a desperate chew. Holding belly, Sato Yasutora's face was pale and he was shaking all over. It hurts so much, worse than all the injuries I've had over the years. Even, under this punch, he even had a feeling of wanting it. But the attack from the enemy is not over yet. With a grinning grin, Barbara Ruth Speech grabs Sato Yasutora's short hair and lifts it over her head. This moment, even if the face is covered by a mask. But I can still feel the tyrannical emotions hidden under the mask. I found that your body is very strong. Then, I wonder how many times your strong body can withstand my attacks. As soon as the words came out, Sato Yasutora's pupils shrank suddenly. But Barbara Ruth Spiker didn't give him a chance to react at all. She directly raised her other fist, and said with a smile. Just let me count. How many times can you bear my fist? The moment the sound fell, fists bombarded like a storm, and the severe pain from the abdomen made Sato Yasutora lose consciousness. Suddenly, his consciousness appeared in a dark space. In this pure black space, there is a dim light for some reason. Look at this light. Sato Yasutora simply thought that he was dying and the group would enter this world. Are you going to die? It's a pity that it didn't help Natsuki and Ichigo after all. But if you can attract this Irankar here, people in the city should be safe. Grandpa. Did. The promise to protect others. However, the moment the voice in my heart falls, this light suddenly responded to him. The originally gloomy appearance began to continuously emit dazzling light, and in the end, it directly merged into his body. Reality Barbara Ruth Specky is still beating up Sato. Violent and crazy voices spit out from his mouth, making it look like a madman at this moment. Ha ha ha. 50 punches, still not dead, so much fun. But, while he enjoys sadistic pleasure, suddenly, the fist that hit Sato was grabbed by someone, making him look subconsciously, but this time, his pupils shrank. You. What happened to you? See. Sato Yasutora, who was beaten to death by him just now. The breath suddenly increased a bit, but what is more noticeable is his huge left arm that exudes an ominous atmosphere. Even on this left arm, he can still feel the breath of Shu. What's the situation? This human being actually has a relationship with him. Pity, confronted by Barbara Ruth Spiker. Sato Yasutora just stretched out his left arm, and kept opening and closing his 5 fingers, so as to feel the newly acquired power zone. This disregard. Much to the dismay of a flustered Barbara Ruth Specje. Hateful. Obviously it's just food. Go to hell for ignoring the great Lord Barbara Ruth Spiker. Don't even think about it. Why does this food become like this? Instead, release yourself Ryotsu directly, and want to crush Sato like before. But, feeling this heavy Ryotsu, Sato did not have the previous embarrassment, but slowly looked away. Flat-eyed, no anger, no pain. It was as if Barbara Ruth Spiker was nothing more than a wisp of smoke. Immediately, Sato Yasutora slowly raised his left hand. In front of Barbara Ruth Specke, make a fist, raise it, and hit one. Boom. No time to react, Barbara Ruth Specke got punched in the head. Boom. This moment, it's like bursting a watermelon. Under this punch, his head exploded in an instant. In the last moment of consciousness, Barbara Ruth Spiker seemed to see a huge demonic afterimage, emerging behind Sato Yasutora. Evil. Demon. A mere human. How? But before he finished speaking, the remaining consciousness completely dissipated between heaven and earth. And at this time, looking at the body of Irankar on the ground, Sato Yasutora was silent for a moment, then said in a deep voice. This move is called the Devil's Strike. In order to thank you for helping me master this ability, I will give you a painless way to die. After the sound fell, his left arm slowly returned to its original shape. At the same time, the injury that was suppressed forcibly exploded completely. Puff. A mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth. But Sato Yasutora still kept standing, even though his body was already shaking in pain. Suddenly, just when Sato Yasutora was about to pass out, a familiar voice appeared beside him. Killing an enemy of this strength deserves to be you. Leave it to me, you just need to sleep peacefully, Sato. This is. Heard the sound, Sato barely opened his eyes. But seeing Natsuki standing in front of him, he gave a thumbs up appreciatively. Ah, then. I'll leave it to you, Natsuki. You can always trust Natsuki. This is what Rukia, Ryuki, and Ichigo said. So, today is my turn to believe in Natsuki. Accompanied by this thought, Sato Yasutora's body gradually stiffened until he completely lost consciousness and was covered by a layer of ice. You can always trust Natsuki, I said it, Karakura Town. Ichihome, Inoue Orihime House, Sakura, Shaochang Shuangtian Guishi, I refuse. Inoue Orihime stood beside Sato Yasutora, carefully using his ability to heal. The moment the sound fell, the hairpin on the head becomes an elf again. Condensed an orange-yellow barrier to wrap Sato Yasutora in acrylic. Through this orange barrier, you can see that Sato Yasutora's injuries are recovering rapidly. Just a few seconds, the injuries on his body have completely recovered. See, Inoue Orihime finally breathed a sigh of relief. Wiping the sweat off his forehead, he turned to look at Rihu and the others and said with a smile. The treatment is complete. It only takes a few minutes for Sato-san to wake up. The voice fell, the tense mood of a group of people eased down. After this ease, Ichigo and others finally had time to ask, what happened? I saw. Ichigo walked over to Sato. Looking at the remaining bloodline on his body, he asked with a gloomy expression. Natsuki. What's the situation? How did Sato get hurt like this? Natsuki doesn't grumble. Pointing directly at another big ice lump in the room, he explained. It did it. What did it do? Everyone walked up to the big ice lump. Take a serious look at this enemy frozen in the big ice lump. This is the body of a short man, but there is an inexplicable aura emanating from his body. This made everyone wonder, is it a human, or a fiction? He looks like a human being, but his breath is empty. Actually, when everyone enters the room, I have already noticed this big ice lump in the corner. At this time, Ichigo heard the question and looked over subconsciously. This is Irankar. Natsuki explained, shatter the mask and gain Shinigami power. Irankar. Everyone subconsciously looked at each other. I don't understand. Where did Irankar come from again? Only Rukia, a thoughtful look appeared on his face. Irankar? It's such a coincidence. These days, Natsuki has nothing to do to give her extra lessons. What is hollow, and what is Irankar, and some other terms? At first, Rukia still doesn't understand. Little did I know it would take only a few days. Suddenly, Sado Yasutora lying on tatami. Slowly opened his eyes, sat up subconsciously, looked at the people around him, his face was full of bewilderment. His memory, still in the time before his coma. He never thought that so many companions would have surrounded him as soon as he woke up. Thinking of this, he looked at the crowd and apologized. Sorry for worrying you. He looked at Inoue Orihime again, and thanked him earnestly. I'm sorry to trouble you this time, Orihime. The voice fell, Inoue Orihime looked flustered instead. Well, it's nothing, I'm happy to be able to help. And at this moment, watching the two people thank and decline. Natsuki interrupted the two with a loud voice, and asked directly to Sado Yasutora. Sado, how did you come across this Irankar, and, this Irankar, did he reveal any information? According to the original plot, the first Irankar to appear should be the Grandfisher. But this time because of Natsuki's appearance. As a result, Ichigo's strength is stronger than the original plot, directly killing Grandfisher. This makes the plot change. Now Natsuki doesn't know what happened to the first Irankar that came to the world. Hear the inquiry, Sado Yasutora thought for a moment. Then he looked at Natsuki, with a hint of apology on his face. Sorry, this bird didn't reveal any special information, I only know that his name is Barbara Ruth Spiker. But the moment the voice fell, he seemed to think of something, looked at Natsuki, and said uncertainly. Natsuki, I thought of something. This Irankar, his mask is not completely broken, only the mouth part has a crack. I don't know if this is useful information. When Yan, the whole apartment fell silent. Everyone, subconsciously looked at Natsuki, waiting for his answer. As for Natsuki, when he heard, the mask is not completely broken, his eyes suddenly lit up. That's right. Aizen's technology is immature for Irankar. In other words, it should be in the experimental stage now, otherwise there is no need to put Irankar in Karakura town. Karakura town, where I and others sit. Throwing this level of Irankar over will undoubtedly send them to their deaths. So, according to Aizen's character, and the means shown in the original plot, putting Irankar into Karakura town this time is probably just a technical breakthrough. Let us help to test the effect. The more I think about it, Natsuki felt more and more that he was right. After all, in the original plot, Aizen used Ichigo's hand to test Irankar's strength. A moment later, Natsuki let out a long breath and looked at Sado seriously. Sado, your information is important. The completion of Irankar can be judged from the progress of the mask breaking. The Irankar you met only had a crack in the mask, which shows that the technology that guy currently masters may not be comprehensive. Talk half. Ichigo suddenly frowned and interrupted. The guy you said, Natsuki, don't you mean Aizen? Sound falls, everyone can't help but tremble. Aizen. That was almost on my own, just beat the whole Soul Society horror character. Hearing his name again suddenly, a look of horror appeared on the faces of everyone. Into the eyes of the crowd, Natsuki did not deceive everyone's thoughts, nodded and admitted. That's right. It's the Irankar experiment conducted by Aizen. That's right. It's the Irankar experiment conducted by Aizen. Natsuki's voice fell. Everyone couldn't help but gasp. They didn't expect that Aizen was really behind the scenes this time. Rukia frowned and asked, Natsuki, is this news true? If it's what you said, I think it may be necessary to report to the Soul Society immediately. Face the anxious Rukia. Natsuki didn't go into details, but simply explained. It was Negation who saved Aizen. That means he's on the same side as Hueco Mundo. Also, don't forget what he said when he was on the execution platform. When Shinigami's talent reaches the upper limit, it can only be broken through by injecting the opposite power. And Shinigami is hollow. When Shu has reached the upper limit, isn't it Shinigami? The Shinigami of Shu is to break the mask on the face. These words, leaving Rukia speechless. If you think about it carefully, all this is not difficult to figure out. But she didn't think about it this way, it was entirely the inherent impression left by Aizen's previous Shinigami identity, is unimaginable. What will happen when Aizen and Hueco Mundo cooperate? Seeing Rukia's expression in the blank expressions of Ichigo and the others, Natsuki sighed softly. But there is one more thing, he has to remind everyone. Before reporting the information, I hope you understand a little bit in your heart. If the Irankar that appeared this time is really Aizen that was put into Karakura town for testing, I think everyone should be vigilant. After all, no one can guarantee that Aizen will only launch an Arankar for testing. As soon as the words came out, thinking of the consequences, everyone's expressions froze. Just one Arankar. Sado Yasutora was severely injured and almost GG, if more came, wouldn't it be? Subconsciously, everyone's eyes are on each other. From the eyes of the other party, they could see the dignified aura. Quite a while Ichigo stood up. Staring at Natsuki's eyes, he said seriously. I see. The next period of time may be a little busy. However, I will never let Aizen take Karakura town as his testing ground easily. Ichigo is right. We need to work together to be able to. Hear the words Natsuki's nod of approval. Anyway, because we all live together in Karakura town. If you don't want to be like guessing, let Karakura town become a testing ground for Aizen to test Arankar, everyone needs to work together. But, he hasn't finished speaking yet. Boom, 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 boom. Strands of tyrannical, chaotic, and evil Ryotsu appear in Sky King. These unrestrained and undisguised aura instantly attracted the attention of all the high psychics in Karakura town. This is, it actually appeared again, monsters. Run, everyone, run, or you will be eaten by monsters like last time. This familiar scene, it makes all high psychics seem to have returned to a month ago. At that time, just like this, countless openings suddenly opened in the sky, and countless monsters gushed out of them. But the difference is, this time, it wasn't a miscellaneous fish that descended. It is the more powerful Arankar after the Aizen Arankarization experiment. Looking at the densely packed monsters in the sky, the highly psychic people of Karakura town are suffering, screaming, helpless garden hero. This moment, disaster happened a month ago. A fresh and grim coming to Karakura town, Yurihara store. Yurihara Kazuki was originally replenishing the merchandise. Suddenly, he stopped replenishing the stock and looked up at the sky in disbelief. This is impossible, there are so many voids. It's only been a week. Aizen, what the hell are you doing with Hogyoku at Hueco Mundo? Behind him, Jinda and Xiao, looking at the Arankar group all over the sky, trembling and falling to the ground. Google. This Ryotsu, how is it possible? How can I repair? I can't move under this Ryotsu. Irresistible. Arankar's Ryotsu alone may not be strong. However, when dozens or hundreds of Arankars gathered together, the Ryotsu emitted at the same time, even the oppressed too could not move. At the same time, an underground warehouse hidden in an enchantment. The 8 figures raised their heads at the same time, and their gazes looked into the sky in disbelief. Hey, this feeling is false, right? Hey, bald man, I'm asking you something. Cold sweat broke out on Hiyori's forehead. That's right. This Ryotsu is true. But, how does it feel? It's somewhat similar to us. Hiriko Shinji answered Hiyori's question, but his eyes seemed to be through the ceiling above his head, and was staring at the Arankar group in the sky. Is this the Hueco Mundo invasion of the real world? Aside, Itoribashi Rojiro held Zanpakuto tightly and said to himself. In terms of Ryotsu alone, all the virtuals have reached the level of vice captain, and even the captain level is not rare. Compared to these, shouldn't it be worrying about whether it has something to do with Aizen? Baldy. Seeing that the two ignored him, Hiyori reminded dissatisfiedly. The sound fell instantly. The rest of Visored nodded in agreement. All those present were in the current situation because of Aizen's calculations, and Aizen had to guard against it. Simultaneously, Yatumaru Lisa suggested. In that case, I'll go to the scene to have a look. If it's just an accident like a month ago, it's fine, but if it's related to Aizen, it's better to find out in advance. The voice fell. Visored nodded in agreement. In that case, I'm counting on you, Lisa, Karakura town. Inoue Orihime's apartment. The chaotic and disordered Ryotsu from the sky made everyone subconsciously come to the window and look into the sky. This look, everyone's pupils shrank. Even Natsuki couldn't help but lose his mind for a moment when he saw this scene. It's so much, it's all Arankar. Sure enough, as Natsuki said, Aizen didn't just release one Arankar, but countless Arankars. I saw. The sky is covered with dense black spots. As ability users, everyone can naturally see clearly that the dense black dots are exactly what was discussed earlier. Exactly. These are all Arankar, and at this moment. Look at this dense Arankar in the sky. Be it Rukia or Ichigo, except for Natsuki, everyone is stunned. Midair, one Arankar after another came out of the black cavity. Feeling that although this is sufficient, it still lacks much spiritual power compared to Hueco Mundo, many Arankars began to complain. Is this the present world? Cough cough. I haven't been in this world for hundreds of years, and the changes seem to be quite big. Damn it. The spiritual seeds in this world are still so thin, I'm almost suffocated by the road. But, in the next moment, all the Arankars shut up again. At this time, in their perception, the city below them is filled with the breath of high psychics. And high psychics, for virtual, for Arankar. No benefit is the tastiest and most nutritious food. And now, the most delicious food is below, like a buffet for anyone to choose from. All the ugliness on Arankar's face disappeared instantly, and he even became eager to try. Boom. 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 The manic and chaotic Ryotsu is unleashed. Moment. All Arankars spread out and attacked every corner of the city. Wherever it passes, weeds do not grow, and at this moment, high psychers being targeted in Karakura town. Like a weak and helpless lamb, thrown in front of a group of hungry wolves, without the slightest ability to resist. Help. Let me go, I don't want to die. Don't leave me, please don't leave me alone. It hurts, don't eat me, don't eat W. People who have only spiritual power but no power to fight back can only run away in a panic. But their speed, how could it possibly compare to Arankar? 1, 2, 3. Countless people died under the first wave of Arankar's attack. The whole city, it's like being in a battlefield, like purgatory on earth. This moment, dozens of meters above the Yurihara store. A series of light blue masks, starting from the Yurihara store as the center, expands outward with a radius of 10 meters, covering all Ryotsu perception. At the same time, one face chasing fleeing humans. Before I knew it, I actually broke into this mask, and suddenly, I frowned, surprised lightning hits the city Pudong store. Interesting. There are actually 2 more pure souls. It seems that the food is prepared for me by God, so I will not be polite today, ha 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 ha. After the sound fell, he renounced the former man. Instead, he rushed towards the Yurihara store, clenched his right fist, as if he wanted to smash the building that hindered his hunting. But, when he swung his fist, wang, wang, a wave of ripples set off on the surface of the Yurihara store, blocking the attack of this Arankar. This is. Looking at the ripples in front of him, Arankar was dumbfounded. Suddenly, a voice sounded from inside the Yurihara store. Oh, I didn't expect that I would be the first to suffer here, what bad luck. The moment the sound falls, Arankar's heart skipped a beat, feeling a bad premonition. Next moment, his premonition came true. I saw a fiery red slash suddenly flying out of the shop, slashing straight at this Arankar. Pooh. The body is directly divided into 2. When he was about to die, he never imagined that he would die in such an unknown place after running all the way from Hueco Mundo. Da, 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 there was a sound of footsteps. Immediately, 2 figures walked out from the Yurihara store. Please clean up, Tessai. Glancing at the 2 corpses on the ground, Yurihara Kazuki's expression didn't change, and he walked straight forward, leaving only a voice behind. Leave it to me, Mr. Yurihara. Tessai Tsukabishi pointed at the corpse on the ground with one hand, broke and chanted, Hado number 31 red cannon. Sound falls, a cannon shot from his hand. Directly burned this Arankar's body into ashes. Simultaneously, Yurihara Kazuki looked up into the air and complained. The next step is to minimize casualties. It's really troublesome. I'm just the owner of a small grocery store. But after saying this, he disappeared at the same time as the figure of Tessai Tsukabishi. When the 2 reappeared, they were already standing in front of a group of Arankars. Hado's 33. Blue Flame Pendant. Hado number 613 Fiery Lightning Howl. The 2 raised their hands, keep your eyes on Arankar. One after another, high-level Hado came out and bombarded the group of Arankar. When the smoke and dust caused by the attack dissipated, the scene revealed made the pupils of the 2 shrunk, except for the first few unsuspecting Arankars who died. All the rest of Arankar. Both defended against the attack of the 2, and looked at the 2 with covetous eyes. Watching this scene, a look of perplexity appeared on Yurihara Kazuki's face. It seems that this time the crisis is not easy to solve. I hope Seirei can send support soon. Roar. The moment the sound fell, it was cold. The Arankars couldn't bear the temptation in front of them any longer, and rushed forward one after another, burying the 2 of them in an instant. Help. I don't want to die, someone help me. My dear, don't leave me, wait for me, wait for me. Chaos spread throughout Karakura town. Countless people fled around in a panic. At this moment, even ordinary people can see the abnormality. There are footprints on the ground. The edge of the building seems to have been sharply resolved. Even, many people were directly caught out of thin air, chewed to death in a burst of panic. Such an unusual scene. They all tell these ordinary people that Karakura town is coming and invisible monsters are hunting humans. And at this moment, a figure in a sailor suit. quickly run around in every corner of Karakura town. Every time he comes forward, he will save a human and kill an unsuspecting Arrancar at the same time. But, Ryotsu that is consumed rapidly in the body. And the body that was so exhausted that it was constantly panting. Everyone is telling Yadumaru Lisa that her condition is not very good, and she can only find a safe place to rest for a short time. Hateful. These damned Arrancar. Sure enough, even if Aizen escapes to Hueco Mundo, he won't be honest. After all, he is the vice captain of the 8th Division. When Yadumaru Lisa was fighting, she had already asked some Arrancars for the information she wanted. Naturally no. These Arrancars are all masterpieces of Aizen. She also passed this information on to other members of Vizard, and upon learning of the crisis facing Karakura town, she got, all will come to support the reply. But before that, she needs to be alone to deal with the Arrancar swarms everywhere. Think of this. Yadumaru Lisa stood up, looking into the distance. It was an Arrancar chasing humans, which gave her a headache. It's obviously just rubbish, but through Arrancar, the strength has been so improved. If a high-level void completes Arrancar, damn it, it's another trouble. But the moment the voice fell, she herself was a Shunpo, and her figure disappeared from the spot in an instant, and when she reappeared, she was already behind that Arrancar. Go to hell. Kill him, Iron Slurry Dragonfly. I saw a halberd in Yadumaru Lisa's hand, stabbing towards the back of this Arrancar's head. This moment, she seemed to see the scene where the enemy was pierced through the head by the Iron Slurry Dragonfly. However, things often turn out the way people don't expect. I saw Arrancar, whose back was facing Yadumaru Lisa, suddenly opened a pair of eyes at the back of his head. This is popping eyes, let Yadumaru Lisa's hand move. But at such a moment of pause, this Arrancar seized the opportunity, turned around, looked at Yadumaru Lisa, and said with a sinister smile. Sure enough, it's exactly what Aizen-sama said. This hunting operation, someone will definitely come out to stop it. And I've figured it out before. In such a short period of time, the aura of many companions disappeared quietly. This should be done by you, Shinigami? Yadumaru Lisa ignored Arrancar's words. Instead, he continued what he had just done, trying to pierce this Arrancar's head with his own Zanpakuto. Ding! Sparks are flying. The halberd stabbed Arrancar's mask. But it didn't cause any damage. Instead, Arrancar grabbed the halberd, and immediately, without hesitation, he pulled it towards him with force. A grunt. Yadumaru Lisa was pulled towards Arrancar. But with her combat experience, she won't be at a loss, and she directly swipes her left hand in front of her. Hollow. The blur mask hangs on the face. This is a mask that looks like a knight's iron mask. The buff it brings to Yadumaru Lisa instantly increases her Ryotsu, strength, speed, stamina, etc. by a level. Boom. When being dragged in front of Arrancar, Yadumaru Lisa let go of the halberd, flipped over flexibly, kicked back and kicked Arrancar's mask. Strong power. Kicked Arrancar's mask through a crack in an instant. At the same time, Yadumaru Lisa also used the recoil force to do a backflip, ready to go backwards. Damn bug. Although I don't know why the Shinigami in front of me has a virtual mask, this Arrancar has already fallen into anger because his mask is broken. Without thinking, he raised his hand indiscriminately and threw it into the air. Boom. There was a sharp pain in Yadumaru Lisa's abdomen. It was Arrancar who coincidentally punched her lower abdomen and hit himself unexpectedly. This time, make Yadumaru Lisa bow her body. While blood gushed out of his mouth frantically, his body flew backwards for several meters. Boom. Yadumaru Lisa crashed into a building. The building that was shattered by the impact splashed a burst of smoke, and at the same time blocked Yadumaru Lisa's sight. Damn it, because of intention. Clutching her aching lower abdomen, Yadumaru Lisa's face under the blur mask twitched in pain. She didn't expect her luck to be so bad. He was punched in the abdomen by the angry Arrancar. Even, because of too much pain, she has lost the ability to move, and she can't even get up and escape. And at this moment, this Arrancar realized it had hit a Shinigami. Ryotsu felt Yadumaru Lisa's sudden drop of Ryotsu, and an excited smile appeared under the mask. Ha ha ha. I knew it, my luck has always been good. With wild laughter, with strides, rushed towards Yadumaru Lisa. Yadumaru Lisa felt the oncoming Ryotsu, and struggled to get up, but to no avail. Hateful. At this moment, she could only sit on the ground blankly. The pupil looked at the Arrancar tremblingly, and launched an attack by himself. However, the moment Arrancar rushed in front of her, suddenly, a voice sounded. Is this Arrancar? It seems a bit lame. The moment the sound falls, a figure broke through the floor and fell from the sky. The long knife in his hand actually directly penetrated the head of this Urankar. This sudden scene confused Yadomaru Lisa. You. Who are you to kill Urankar so easily? Confused. Looking at the figure that easily kills Urankar. At this moment, Yadomaru Lisa was stunned. What the hell? That's a face-shattered head that even I can't penetrate. Why did you just take a knife lightly and solve it the other party? But next moment, Yadomaru Lisa's gaze was on the person coming. To be precise, it should be looking at the weapon in the person's hand. Zanpakuto. Yadomaru Lisa is the former vice captain of the 8th Division. Can be recognized naturally, the long sword in Natsuki's hand as Zanpakuto. But another very important point. Why does this kid who saved his life have Zanpakuto? Is it possible he is the Kurosaki Ichigo that Hirako said? According to Hirako, the man named Kurosaki Ichigo looks like a delinquent boy with short orange hair. The person in front of me, although she also has short hair, but her eyes are obviously not orange. Asterisk 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 asterisk, and at this time, after killing Urankar. The system beep also sounded. Ding. Kill the target first, Ian. Using the draw and skill, you will permanently gain part of the target's spiritual power. Instantly, Natsuki felt a small increase in spiritual power in his body. Not much, not even 1%, but he is still very satisfied. After all, it's just an Urankar. You know, the Urankar that appeared in Karakura town this time. Not just one or two, but hundreds or even thousands. If you can kill them all, the benefits will be extremely terrifying. Think of this, Natsuki turned his eyes to the woman he had saved. Get ready to get rid of it early, so you don't delay your time to kill Urankar. But when he turned around and looked over, his face changed slightly, full of surprise. Yadomaru Lisa, isn't she from Vizard? Why is she here? Simultaneously, Yadomaru Lisa saw Natsuki looking at herself. I found his handsome face, and there was a look of interest on his face. Just at this time, the pain in the abdomen was slightly relieved, so she struggled to get up, and thanked Natsuki. Thank you so much just now. If you hadn't appeared in time, I might have. Well, there would be a worse ending. During the conversation, Yadomaru Lisa walked up to Natsuki. Natsuki can finally take a closer look at the ISP in this Vizard. Wearing a sailor suit, with braided hair, a heroic look and a delicate vestline. Everything is explained. This is a great-looking beauty. But the most important thing is the pair of glasses hanging on the bridge of her nose. The proud figure, paired with these red-frame glasses, added a bit of serious mystery to Lisa. Simultaneously, feeling Natsuki sizing him up, Yadomaru Lisa was not annoyed, instead she leaned over and breathed in his ear, temptingly said. Little brother, sister's outfit, does it look good? Natsuki's face turned black. What the hell is the little brother? He said it as if he was very young. Or, she is greeting another Natsuki. Seeing that Natsuki didn't answer, Yadomaru Lisa was not in a hurry, and just stared at him with a smile. Quite a while, not wanting to waste time, Natsuki replied, it's okay. But after speaking, took a step back. Under the surprised eyes of Yadomaru Lisa, he continued. I'm still going to eliminate Urankar, so I won't waste any more time here. If there is a destiny, see you next time. After all, turn around directly, and walk out without hesitation. Wait. Yadomaru Lisa's expression froze. She didn't expect that Natsuki's movements would be so crisp and neat, leaving as soon as he said, without ambiguity at all. I don't even know what his name is. Thinking of this, Yadomaru Lisa called out to Natsuki's back. Little brother. My sister is Yadomaru Lisa, I don't know your name. Natsuki paused as he left, but thinking of the possible intersection with Vizard in the future. There is no difference between early telling and late telling, so he waved his back to her. Kaido. Natsuki, my name is Natsuki. Sound falls. Natsuki also walked out of the building and rushed towards the rest of the Urankar locations in Ryotsu's perception. Only Yadomaru Lisa standing in place, watching Natsuki's back gradually go away, he couldn't help muttering. Natsuki. So, you are that Natsuki. She even knew Kurosaki Ichigo. How could she not have heard of Natsuki's name? But unfortunately, she had only heard of the name. Otherwise she couldn't have failed to recognize Natsuki's identity before. It's just that the one who thought of saving himself was Natsuki, who could fight Aizen back and forth. This moment, Yadomaru Lisa is inexplicably interested in her. The tongue slid across the lips, as if expecting something, or in other words, tasting something. Natsuki. What an interesting little brother. I hope that next time we meet, you will get to know each other. 10 minutes later a figure walked into the building. Seeing this figure, Lisa's eyes lit up. Xiao Ba, you are here. Help me take a look at the injury, I think I may have hurt my internal organs. Hey, don't worry, leave it to me. The visitor smiled gently, raised his hand slightly, and a green light covered Yadumaru Lisa. Soon, she felt the pain in her lower abdomen disappear. Therefore, after recovering from her injuries, she felt that she was doing well again, especially the back figure that left alone. It made her want to tease her even more. Thinking of this, she turned to Hashijin and asked. Zauba. Are you interested? Follow me to invite a newcomer to join. Karakura town, on the side of Shanqiao Road. Natsuki walked out slowly with a long knife in his hand. Behind him, an Iran crashed to the ground, blood spilling all over the ground. Only, feel the increased spiritual power. At this moment, Natsuki thought silently in his heart. 10 minutes have passed since we parted with Yadumaru Lisa, and within these 10 minutes he has killed B6 Arankars in succession. An average of kills per minute. This speed is nothing short of unpleasant. However, he perceives with Ryotsu, Karakura town is still densely packed with the atmosphere of Arankar. Although curious, how Aizen transformed so many unfinished Arankars in just 1 week. But Natsuki didn't intend to waste any more time. While perceiving the next target through Ryotsu, I was thinking, 767, in my heart, how to hunt these Arankars at the fastest speed. Suddenly, a mobile phone rings. Jingling-ling, jingling-ling, jingling-ling. Natsuki took out the mobile phone from his arms, saw the note, Rukia, and understood that her appeal to the Soul Society for help might be fruitful. Ka. Natsuki answered the phone. Rukia's voice suddenly rang out from the phone. Natsuki. There is a hint of anxiety in the voice. Natsuki frowned. The first sentence he spoke gave people a bad feeling. Next moment, Rukia's words confirmed his thoughts. Natsuki. I just got in touch with Soul Society. But Captain Jashiro told me that it is impossible to send support to Karakura town at this time. According to the investigation by the Technology Research and Development Bureau, all the portals leading to the vicinity of Karakura town are blocked by unknown forces. If you use the portal forcibly, you may be involved in the turbulence of space. Rukia's words were urgent. Report the situation you are facing now in a series. Natsuki fell into silence. He didn't expect that Aizen's handwriting would be so big. Just throwing, some Arankars that haven't fully succeeded yet don't block the Soul Society's crossing gate. But it doesn't matter. Just got in touch with Arankar in person. Natsuki has discovered that most of these Arankars are Sibe products that have only Ryotsu and cannot show their strength. Soul Society couldn't come over. Just enough to let him hunt Arankar to his heart's content to increase his own Ryotsu. Think of this, he said to Rukia on the phone. I see. Since the Soul Society can't come to support. Then, this time we can only act on our own. Natsuki, wait for me, I'll go find you now. Rukia's voice fell, and she hung up the phone directly. Really, it's not good to be so impatient all the time. Listening to the sound of the phone hanging up, Natsuki chuckled twice, but still changed direction and walked towards Rukia. Natsuki casually rescued an office worker attacked by Arankar. Suddenly, Natsuki heard someone calling his name, looked subconsciously, and saw Rukia running from a distance. Soon, the two meet again, but seeing that Rukia was the only one coming, Natsuki asked curiously. Rukia, you are the only one. How about Ichigo and others? Why didn't you come over? Hear the inquiry. Rukia looked up, with an expressionless expression on her face. You know, there are too many Arankars in Karakura town. People are dying here all the time, and when they knew it, they went to organize rescue and kill Arankar. Natsuki nodded knowingly. He didn't create a gap between the few people because of this, but worried. Ichigo and Sato are okay. Both of them have good abilities, but Orihime and Longui are a bit worrying. I think so. Rukia agrees with this point, and she does not recommend Longui and Orihime to come out, but they really can't stand their stubbornness. Know people's personalities. Natsuki also guessed that these two people will not stay in the house honestly. Shook his head, stopped thinking about Longui and Orihime. He looked at the sky again, at this time, although those black cavities in the sky no longer walked out of Arankar. But it is always a hidden danger if it exists like this. After all, no one knows whether Aizen will send Arankar over in the future. Think of this, Natsuki raised his hand slowly. Let's enjoy the baptism of blood together, Yoli. The moment the sound fell, in the hands of Zanpakuto quietly changed appearance. Yuri's phantom appeared next to Natsuki, maintaining a slightly bowed posture. Simultaneously, a dark blue Ryotsu is linked between one person and one shadow. Subsequently, Natsuki raises his knife and points to the sky. Especially in the sky, those dozens of dark chambers that plunge into the abyss. Yoli, help me destroy all those black holes in the sky, can you do it? For this, Xiaoli nodded calmly. Follow your orders, my lord Natsuki. After the voice fell, Natsuki and Yuri agree with each other. Staring at the black cavity in the sky at the same time, Zanpakuto was slowly sheathed in his hand, and the two stood one after the other. Suddenly, Ryotsu gradually converges, start to compress into the scabbard, and let out a bang. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. 3 seconds passed, and I felt Ryotsu compressed into ultimate. Next moment. You soul cut. X2 one person, one soul, instantly draw the sword. Even because of drawing the knife too quickly, 2 afterimages even appeared. At the same time, accompanied by a violent roar, the 2 blades slashed straight at the 2 largest black chambers in the sky. This terrifying power easily cut through all obstacles encountered along the way. The concrete floor, steel cars, and even the tall buildings couldn't resist the power of the sword light, and they were cut in 2. Finally, the 2 blade lights separated in midair. One to the left and one to the right, respectively slashing towards the largest pair of black chambers in the sky. This scene instantly attracted all the powerful people in Karakura town. What is this? Natsuki's slash has become more exaggerated. It's so scary, I didn't expect someone in this world to be able to make such a huge slash. Base. The sharp sound of the sword resounded. 2 huge sword glows hit the 2 largest black chambers. At this time, intense Ryotsu condensed in the sword light. The moment it hit the black cavity, these spiritual powers instantly filled the entire black cavity. The Haijang, which was operating normally, began to become chaotic, and with the addition of the powerful Daomongshin. These 2 dark chambers, it was cut off directly by the knife light and divided into 2 pieces. Boom. Just in an instant, these 2 black accents suddenly disappeared under everyone's gaze. The black cavity was cut off. It's an exaggeration, even the black cavity can be destroyed. Natsuki's strength is getting stronger and stronger, is this the so-called genius name? This is the human reaction to seeing this scene. For these 2 sword lights, Natsuki did not use the skills that can be used by parsing from other Zanpakuto. On the contrary, just relying on its own chopping technique. However, even if it's as simple as that. However, Natsuki still used his slashing technique to smash the 2 largest black chambers in the sky. Such an unexpected picture. It directly shocked all the humans and Shinigami who saw this scene. Simultaneously, Irankar wreaking havoc in Karakura town. I also noticed Natsuki's Ryotsu and threw them towards the sky. But did not expect, someone can destroy the black cavity. This moment, all Irankar froze, immediately, a touch of disbelief was born in my heart. What the hell? That's a black hole. How can you even destroy the black cavity? Let's hang it up. No, if there are strong people in Karakura town who can destroy even black holes, then wouldn't the group of Arankars be in danger? Thinking of this, some of the smarter Arankars. I have already quietly rushed towards the black cavity closest to me. If it is really dangerous, I might as well return to Hueco Mundo as soon as possible. And at this moment, Natsuki held Zanpakuto indifferently. I am not surprised that I can make the black cavity in the air disappear. If it's just an ordinary slash, naturally, it is impossible to destroy the existence of the black cavity. However, if the slashing power contains Ryotsu that is bigger than the black cavity, it will be another result. Mighty Ryotsu changed the original operating structure of the black cavity. In the end, it was unable to continue to exist, and could only be reduced to nothing just like the scene just now. While aside, Rukia was stunned. Natsuki, you were just. You. How did you do it just now, too? Destroy the black cavity just by relying on the slashing technique. Maybe it's a lack of strength. Or, it may be that Natsuki's Ryotsu compression is too ultimate, causing Rukia to not realize the real reason why he destroyed these 2 black chambers. Therefore, hear this voice asking. Natsuki doesn't mind either, explaining the confusion to Rukia. It's very simple. Speaking of which, this is the discovery I made through the world transmitting gate twice. Your Shinigami crossing gate, if you want to use it stably, I remember that you need to spend a lot of Ryotsu to stabilize it. I think Shinigami's black accent is not much worse. In the 2 sword glows just now, there are 2 high concentration Ryotsu compressed, which forcibly changed the original operating structure of the black cavity, and it naturally disappeared. Rukia showed a knowing look. She actually had a similar idea before, but she didn't think about it seriously when she saw the sword light that Natsuki cut out. After all, Natsuki can do away with black cavity in this way. A large part of the reason is precisely because I have been studying Kido with Rukia recently, and I have dabbled in this area of knowledge. And at this moment, after explaining to Rukia, Natsuki looked at the sky again, and said in a low voice. Are there still 10 black chambers left? Although it's a bit useless Ryotsu, it's not too difficult to deal with. Rukia paused slightly. Immediately, she figured it out. I'm afraid Natsuki is going to deal with the rest of the black cavity all at once. And at this time, except for the 2 largest black chambers that were just abolished. In the sky, there are still nearly 10 smaller black chambers scattered in different directions in Karakura town. Now that the largest 2 have been solved, then, naturally, Natsuki will not let go of the remaining small ones. Think of this, Natsuki sheathed her sword again. Yuri also repeated Natsuki's action, sheathing her sword. Next moment. One person, one soul draws the sword out of its sheath again. Silence soul cut. X2. The 2 black chambers burst into pieces. Seeing such a simple destruction of the black cavity, Rukia's eyes widened again. Silence soul cut. X2. Another 2 black holes shattered. Seeing the same operation as before, the corner of Rukia's mouth twitched slightly this time, feeling something was wrong. But a minute later. Look at all the black cavities crashing and shattering in the air. Rukia's expression was completely indifferent this time. There was no way for anyone to look at Natsuki as if he was playing. Swing the knife once, 2 black holes shattered in the air. The mood can't be the same as it was at the beginning, can I keep being surprised? And at this moment, others in Karakura town. They feel the same as Rukia. Especially looking at the more refined shape, but the more exaggerated power of the swordlight. Everyone is stunned. What the hell, you are here to practice your skills. It's nothing more than cutting the black cavity with the swordlight. How do you use your TMD skills and become more and more proficient? Empty Night Palace, Aizen sits on the throne. A footstep sounded, making Aizen look up. I saw Ichimaru Jin in white. Walking into the room, he said in that funny tone. Oops, Captain Aizen, Eilai's plan will fail this time. The 11 black chambers that have been activated have all been destroyed in their original operating mode, and have broken down one after another. Wen Yan, Aizen grinned and let out a chuckle. The plan failed? Why do you think my plan has failed? You know, from the very beginning, I didn't think that those failed products would make it to the battlefield. So. The purpose of sending them to the present world this time is just to say hello to Natsuki and his soul society. Sound falls. Aizen got up and stretched his arms in a bowed position. I, Aizen, Sosuke, have been watching them all the time. Karakura town, look at the black cavity is completely destroyed. At this moment, many people finally breathed a sigh of relief. At least, don't worry about teleporting from Arankar anymore. Just kill all the Arankars in Karakura town to survive this crisis. And at this moment, holding Zanpakuto one by one. A figure with a hollow mask on his face. At this time, they gathered and stood on the top of a tall building. Watching the spiritual power fluctuations scattered in the air, one of them said. Just a few minutes. It just destroyed all the black holes, it's really brilliant. But the voice fell, but there was another violent voice. Hey, Match. I remember you said that guy named Natsuki also seems to have the power of Hollow, right? Yes, what's the matter? Hiriko Shinji looks behind him. Answering the questions Hiyori asked him. Che, are you an idiot? Or a fool? Hiyori pouted, mocking his companion. But then, and turned his gaze to the crowd. Since he also has the power of Hollow, then invite him to join us, join our Visored. These words make the rest of the Visored members look at each other. Visored has been formed by these few people for 100 years, and now they suddenly say that they want to invite others to join. It always feels weird. It's as if it is my own thing, and it wants to become someone else's shape. But, listen to Hiyori's thoughts. Hiriko Shinji suddenly took off the mask, looked at Hiyori with a laugh, and said with a smile. What? Invite Natsuki to join us? You have a good idea, but dragged on for a long time. When Hiyori couldn't take it anymore, Hiriko Shinji pinched his nose and continued. But, Hiyori, this idea has already been suggested by someone else. It's brought up. Hiyori couldn't help but increase the noise, subconsciously sweeping across the crowd. Suddenly, she found that there were 2 people missing in the team at this time. This made the corners of her mouth twitch slightly and subconsciously asked. You brought up what you said, could it be Lisa and Zauba? Wen Yan, Shinji Hiriko reveals a pair, you still ask me after you know it all, expression, and then explained seriously. The time before, Lisa-chan was saved by Natsuki. Maybe I'm sexually interested in him, I want to invite him to join us. I think Visored is just a few of us anyway, adding more individuals can be regarded as creating vitality, so I agreed. The voice fell, Hiyori still had something to say. Seeing Shinji Hiriko's serious look, he opened his mouth slightly, but finally gave up his original idea and began to shout angrily. "Baldy, bastard! You just agreed, why don't you ask for our opinion?" However, Shinji Hiriko had expected her to say that. He took out the phone directly from his arms and opened the text message he made up for her to read. "Hiyori. I asked everyone's opinion. Except for you not replying, everyone agrees." Hiyori's pupils widened. "Good guy. This is really a good guy. They are all killing Shu. Why do you have time to look at your phone?" Natsuki doesn't know. Vizard's noise due to himself at this time. At this time, he and Rukia hunted Arankars everywhere in Karakura town. In just over half an hour, they killed more than 200 Arankars. Call. Rukia clenched Zanpakuto in her hand. Breathing out a breath of cold air, at this moment, she also discovered that these Arankars were superficial. Even her, with all his strength, he also killed a lot of Arankar. Like. Now, she stared at a fleeing Arankar in the distance, and suddenly, she waved Zanpakuto in her hand. Spirits spill out. The moisture in the air instantly condenses into dense ice crystals. See Wu white crystal. With a shout, the dense floating ice crystals in the air immediately got the order, and shot at Arankar who was escaping from Yuanwei. Puff. 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 The dense ice crystals immediately spanned the distance between the two. Like a violent storm, galloping away from the air, instantly shot the fleeing Arankar through the body. Blood flowed from the body. Instantly frozen by the ice, an ice sculpture stood still. Immediately afterwards, it was shattered by the oncoming ice crystals, it turned into ice slag and scattered all over the ground. "Good job, Rukia." Watching this scene, Natsuki walked up to Rukia and encouraged him. Suddenly a look of pride appeared on Rukia's face. To be recognized by the people she likes is undoubtedly the best encouragement for her. But, then she thought of something else. Looking at Natsuki, he asked a little curiously. "You also know white crystal. Why don't you use this trick to attack Arankar? Accidental injury or something, with your spiritual power control, it shouldn't happen." In Rukia's view, even himself can kill Arankar with white crystal. Then, as the developer of Bai Jing's move, Natsuki can use this move. Never thought. Natsuki pointed to the top of his head. "I saw a huge cloud floating over Karakura town, almost blocking all sunlight." Immediately, looking at Rukia, he grinned and said with a light smile. "Why don't you use white crystals to kill enemies?" "Because, I'm waiting for the time." Clouds. Rukia looked at the cloud in the sky in puzzlement. But the next moment, her pupils suddenly shrank. What clouds? The clouds, high in the sky. It is clear that countless ice crystals gather together to form an ice layer, but because the height is too high, people mistakenly think it is a cloud layer. And at this moment, Natsuki raised the knife to the sky with one hand, and said coldly. "See Wu white crystal." The moment the sound fell, the sky suddenly dimmed. Clatter, it sounded like the sound of rain at this moment. But the next moment, countless ice crystals fell from the sky, just covering the entire Karakura town. Immediately, they shot towards all the Arankars in Karakura town. Boom. In an instant, the Arankars in Karakura town were all kidnapped by crystal. Boom. Quite a few Arankars trying to escape in the air. At this moment, like a piece of rag, it slowly fell from the sky, turned into a lump of ice and hit the ground fiercely, turning into ice slag all over the place. This moment, all Arankar declared dead. This scene stunned all the people fighting against Arankar in Karakura town.